Trapped deep underground with no way out? What would you do if your only source of light vanished, leaving you lost in a maze of twisting tunnels and bottomless pits? This is exactly what happened to two young cavers in Pighole Cave, shivering with cold and no source of light, a terrifying fight for survival. With no escape and time running out, what really happened to them in the depths of the earth? Let's unravel the mystery. If you love real-life adventure stories, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support helps us bring more thrilling content straight to you. Now let's begin. Caving is not like a regular hike. It requires special skills, experience, and the right equipment. First-time cavers usually join experienced explorers who know the cave's layout, including its paths, dead ends, and hidden dangers. Proper preparation is essential to ensure a safe and enjoyable trip. Caving can be dangerous. Unexpected rain on the surface can cause underground water levels to rise quickly, trapping cavers inside. Slippery mud, steep slopes, and vertical drops all make navigation difficult. Welcome to our adventure in Pighole Cave, one of Virginia's most exciting wild caves. Located in Giles County, this cave is known for its deep sinkhole entrance, fascinating rock formations, and very rich history. Pighole Cave is a classic adventure spot for experienced cavers. The entrance is a massive 100-foot wide sinkhole surrounded by lush green ferns. Once inside, the cave reveals a breathtaking canyon, keyhole passages, and deep vertical shafts. Navigating through Pighole requires ropes, teamwork, and careful planning. The cave features towering rock formations and delicate flowstone. Moving through tight spaces and climbing across slick mud slopes, you'll eventually reach Hess Hollow, a stunning flowstone slab leading down to a massive 166-foot drop. Descending further, an active bat colony adds to the cave's unique atmosphere. Pighole Cave is more than just a thrilling challenge. It's also a place rich in geological history. Scientists have discovered rare minerals like brushite and taranakite in the cave, making it a very important site for research. The cave also hosts a few small animals, including little brown bats and possibly other creatures. Caving should always be done responsibly. Unprepared visitors, sometimes called splunkers, can damage delicate cave formations and put themselves in danger. Respecting the cave, its wildlife, and landowners who allow access is crucial for keeping these underground wonders open for exploration. The excitement of the descent. On the cold Saturday morning of December 1st, 1979, two adventurous students from Virginia Polytechnic Institute, or VPI, set off for what they believed would be an exciting underground expedition. Both were eager, confident, and ready to explore the depths of Pighole Cave in Giles County, Virginia. Though they had some caving experience, they were not seasoned experts. This trip was supposed to be a thrilling challenge, a test of their endurance, courage, and navigation skills. Armed with only 2 flashlights, a few spare batteries, and basic gear, they planned to rappel 120 feet down into the massive entrance pit of the cave. Their goal was to explore the underground tunnels and then exit through the drain pipe entrance on the other side of the cave. The plan seemed simple enough, but there was one major flaw. They had never been inside Pighole Cave before. Oh, and they didn't know the route between the two entrances. Excited and fueled by adrenaline nonetheless, the two young men carefully lowered themselves into the sinkhole. As they descended, the world up above faded away, replaced by darkness and the damp echoing sounds of the cave. Their flashlights illuminated the rugged limestone walls, casting eerie shadows as they made their way deeper inside. As they moved deeper into the cave, the two young cavers followed twisting tunnels and crawled through narrow, tight spaces. They had no map, and the cave was like a giant underground maze. The paths were confusing, with big open chambers, steep drops, and slippery slopes. Since they didn't know the right way, they were simply guessing and hoping to find the exit. After a while, they reached a very dangerous spot called Mud Bridge. The ground was wet and slippery, making it very hard to keep their balance. As they carefully stepped forward, something terrible happened. One of the cavers accidentally dropped his flashlight. The small light rolled across the muddy ground and then fell into a deep, dark hole called Hess's Hollow. They listened as it bounced off rocks and disappeared into the shadows below. Panic immediately set in. They had started their journey with 2 flashlights, but now only one was left. Even though they had 2 extra batteries, they knew that it wouldn't be enough for the long journey ahead. At that moment, the truth hit them hard. They were deep underground, completely lost, and had no way to climb back up the 120-foot entrance pit. They were trapped. The cavers faced a very difficult choice. Should they keep moving forward, hoping to find the other exit? Or should they turn back and wait near the entrance for someone to rescue them? Well, it didn't take them very long to realize that going forward was far too dangerous. If they lost their last remaining flashlight, they would be left in total darkness, unable to see or find their way. So, knowing that they had no other choice, they slowly turned back and made their way towards the entrance pit. There, they sat and waited in fear, hoping that someone would find them before it was too late. As time passed, the cold and damp air of the cave sank deep into their bones. They hadn't planned to stay in the cave for so long, and their thin clothing was not enough to keep them warm in this freezing underground. They were tired and shaking, not just from the cold, but also from fear and exhaustion. Every small sound, water dripping, strange echoes, the movement of unseen creatures, seemed louder and more terrifying in the darkness. The weight of their mistake felt heavier with every passing moment. They had made a terrible decision by not bringing the right equipment. Without ascending gear or extra lights, they had no way to climb out. They thought that they could find their way through the cave easily, but now they realized just how wrong they had been. One caver sat on a cold, wet rock, shaking uncontrollably from the cold. The other walked back and forth, feeling worried and desperate for someone to come and rescue them. But as the hours slowly passed, one thought kept going through their minds. Nobody even knew that they were stuck down there. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, fate had different plans for the trapped cavers. That very night, another caver just happened to return to Pig Hole Cave. He had been there before, and he had left his gloves inside the cave on a previous trip. He had decided to come back and get them, not knowing that his visit would change everything. As he walked near the entrance, he suddenly heard something strange. At first, it was just a faint sound, almost too soft to even notice. But then, as he stood still and listened carefully, he heard it again. A desperate cry for help coming from deep inside the cave. His heart pounded as he realized what was happening. Someone was trapped inside. Without wasting a moment, he rushed to get help. He quickly called the Giles County Sheriff, explaining that he had heard voices calling for help from underground. The authorities knew that they had to act fast. They immediately contacted the Giles County Rescue Squad, a team specifically trained for underground rescues. These rescuers had experience with caves, and they knew how dangerous they could be. As the rescue team prepared their gear and headed towards the cave, the clock was ticking. Time was running out for the 2 trapped cavers, and their only hope now rested in the hands of the rescuers. When the rescue team reached the cave, they quickly assessed the situation. From the description they had received, they immediately recognized that this was Pig Hole Cave, a well-known but dangerous cave in the area. Their first priority was to figure out where exactly the trapped cavers were. They soon confirmed that the 2 students were stranded at the bottom of the 120-foot entrance pit. However, there was a major problem. The existing rope the students had used to rappel down couldn't be trusted. It was old, worn out, and unsafe. If they tried to pull the students up using that rope, it could snap, leading to a deadly fall. The rescue team knew that they had to try to find another way to reach the cavers safely. Instead of taking the dangerous risk of using the entrance pit, the rescuers came up with a very smart plan. They would enter the cave from a different entrance, the drain pipe entrance on the other side of the cave. This entrance was much smaller and tighter, but it could lead them directly to the trapped cavers without the need for ropes. So a team of highly experienced rescuers prepared to enter the cave. They carried extra lights, safety gear, and first aid supplies, knowing that the trapped students might be cold, weak, and injured. They moved quickly but carefully, crawling through narrow tunnels, stepping over slippery rocks, and squeezing through tight spaces. The cave was dark and confusing, but these rescuers knew the way. They had trained for situations like this, and they understood that time was running out. The students had already been trapped for hours, sitting in the cold, scared and exhausted. The rescuers had only one mission now, to find them before it was too late. After hours of crawling, climbing, and squeezing through the dark, narrow tunnels, the rescue team finally reached the two stranded students. As soon as the students saw the rescuers, their fear and tiredness disappeared. They felt very relieved because they knew that they weren't alone anymore. They had been cold, shivering, and very tired, but now they had hope again. The rescuers quickly checked their condition. Both students were weak due to the cold, so they immediately gave them warm clothes, food, and water to help them recover some strength. The students were too tired to even stand properly, but the rescuers knew that they had to move quickly. Since climbing back up the 120-foot pit was too dangerous, the only way out was now through that drain pipe entrance. This path was long, winding, and extremely difficult to navigate. One of the students had become so exhausted that he could barely move. His body was stiff and sore from sitting in the cold for hours. Every step was painful, and his legs trembled from weakness. His muscles ached, and he struggled to keep going. The rescuers had to help him walk. They supported him on both sides, guiding him through the rough and dangerous terrain. The group slowly made their way forward, moving through tight crawl spaces where they had to squeeze through on their stomachs, jagged rocks where they had to climb over sharp, uneven surfaces, and muddy slopes where they had to be careful not to slip and fall. Every few steps, the exhausted student stumbled, and the rescuers caught him before he could fall. Despite the pain and difficulty, they kept pushing forward, determined to get out safely. After what felt like an endless journey, they finally reached the last obstacle, an 8-foot vertical drop near the man-made entrance. This was the final challenge before they could escape. The rescuers secured ropes and carefully helped the students climb up. The weaker student struggled, but with the rescuers pulling him up and encouraging him, he finally managed to reach the top. And then, finally, after hours of struggle, they emerged from the cave. The moment that they stepped outside, the cold night air felt like a blessing. The students took deep breaths, feeling the fresh air filling their lungs. They were tired, sore, and shaken, but most importantly, they were alive. Their terrifying ordeal was over. They had learned a very harsh lesson about the dangers of caving unprepared, but they were very grateful to be safe. The rescue team had saved their lives. And as they stood outside in the open air, they knew that they would never forget this night. When searching for adventure, an inexperienced person can sometimes make bad decisions without even realizing the risks. The two students in this story were not prepared for the dangers of caving. Their plan seemed simple, but in reality it was poorly thought out. If they had brought ascending gear or had known how to improvise a way to climb back up, they could have escaped on their own. A skilled caver could have cut a piece of rope and then used special knots to climb up. But lack of experience left them trapped and helpless. More importantly, their trip was not planned wisely. They should have entered through the back entrance first in order to make sure they knew the way. They also should have carried extra lights. No experienced caver would go into a dangerous cave with only 2 flashlights. This story is a reminder that caving is not a game. It requires careful planning, proper gear, and knowledge. Anyone who enters a cave unprepared is putting their life at risk. Thankfully, these students were rescued in time, but their mistake could have easily ended in tragedy. Caving is an amazing adventure, but only if done safely and responsibly. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this chilling journey into Pig Hole Cave. What do you think? Would they have been able to escape on their own? I personally don't think so, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this story and you want to hear more real-life adventures, well, then hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more thrilling and well-researched content straight to you. Stay safe, everybody, and we'll see you in the next video.